Well, every year, dozens of Indigenous people disappear in the state of Washington. Most are teenagers. Many are victims of violence. Often these cases are not solved, or if they are, the answers come after years of pain for the families. Advocates say this is a complex problem that will take a lot of work to solve.
We have failed in a few ways to not take action on some of the things that protect women and protect people.
There is an issue with communication, and it'll be up to the task force to really study that, to hear from folks, find out what exactly is going on, and then make those recommendations on how simple or complex the fix might be for that issue.
Washington Attorney General Bob Ferguson created a task force this year to try and find solutions that will prevent these tragedies in the future. That task force held its very first meeting today, hearing from the people most impacted by these cases, the victims' loved ones who are looking for justice and healing. Cap KVU's Emily Goodell was at the Yakima Legends Casino Event Center for that meeting.
Dozens of family members of missing and murdered Indigenous people traveled from across the state today to share their stories with tribal representatives and state and local lawmakers at the first meeting of the statewide MMIW task force.
Each of these women's families were left to search and receive justice on their own, all the while wondering, is she warm? Is she fed? Is she alive?
But found they were speaking to an empty auditorium with task force members watching over Zoom.
So this event is really by and for the community, and just as the Attorney General for the people of the state of Washington, I just really want to express my deep appreciation for all that you do.
I mean, it's all us crying and pouring our little hearts out to everybody, but we need to have some vital answers about what's been done.
They shared stories about facing disinterest and disbelief from law enforcement, underreported cases, being invisible, and living in fear of becoming the next name on the list.
It's hard, it's heavy, and I don't wish this on anybody, not even the ones that took my sister's life.
These cases and murders are completely preventable. Indigenous victims and families are doing this on their own, putting aside their own healing, because if we don't bring up these names, no one will.
The task force plans to meet virtually again Friday to discuss today's testimony and their next steps.
As an Indigenous woman myself, it's hard to see those numbers, but we're going to make the world a safer place for Indigenous women, and that is the one thing we're going to focus on.
In Toppenish, Emily Goodell, Cap KVU, Local News.
Now, you can watch tomorrow's meeting online if you want to. The address is TVW. The task force is expected to provide a progress report coming up next August, and then a final report on their findings in June of 2023.